guy was a real turd, you know? Everybody hated him. Everybody.
Like you, kind of, right?
Yeah, just like me. I'm gonna break your face.
No,
He's into this Western stuff. He makes all these little models.
Okay, shh. Listen to this. This is the tape I found downstairs.
I don't think you're giving us our due credit. Our scientists have done things which nobody's ever done before.
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could that they didn't stop to think if they should.
What would you say? I would say, understand yourself, white man, that the white man's burden should not have been preached in Africa, but it should have been preached among you. That you need now to civilize yourself. You have moved to destroy and disrupt. You have taken people away. You have broken down their systems. And you have called all that civilization. And we who have suffered at this are now saying to you, you are the killers of the dreams. You are the savages. Yes, it is you who have always been uncivilized. Civilize yourself.
I mean, that's why when someone asks me about violence, I just find it incredible. Because what it means is that the person who's asking that question has absolutely no idea what black people have gone through, what black people have experienced in this country since the time the first black person was kidnapped from the shores of Africa. Because of the way this society is organized, because of the violence that exists on the surface everywhere, you have to expect that there are going to be such explosions. You have to expect things like that as reaction. If you are a black person who live in the black community all your life and walk out on the street every day seeing white policemen surrounding you, I remember from the time I was very small, I remember the sounds of bombs exploding across the street, our house shaking. I remember my father having to have guns at his disposal at all times because we better expect some bloodshed tonight. At any moment, we might expect to be attacked.
And we're saying that there's a system that allows for one or two black people to get out, and that's the rationale for keeping other black people down.
And it has nothing to do with the unwillingness or inability of the Negro to help himself and to work hard.
That's the rationale, that the reason why black people aren't this is because they're lazy, unambitious, stupid, have rhythm, and they eat watermelon.
It's so terrible that people's best creative energy is sucked up trying not to drown. It's a heartbreak that the world isn't worth our attachment to it, that it gives us objects or ways of life or forms of life that are constantly betraying us. So you saw in another person, or you saw in your family, or you saw in some form of kinship the possibility of a mutuality and staying attached to the world. When you realize you haven't fundamentally been recognized in a way that you can bear, the fear is that when you lose that relation, you would lose your world.
What do you do when you've lost your sense of belonging, when there's no public for you to belong to, and the world you thought was promised to you turns out to be an illusion?
Our lives are infinitely easier than our ancestors. But what about police brutality, the wage gap, prison industrial complex? No. Our lives aren't going to be simply easy for us. But if that's what our students are picking up, then we got a problem. Because our schools simply will not shield them on their way home. Their diplomas don't double as some type of indestructible bulletproof vest. So to our black and brown youth, the idea that it's easier for us is simply setting them up with a life-threatening false sense of security.
Advocated, and I still advocate, revolutionary changes in the structure and in the principles that govern the United States. I advocate self-determination for my people and for all oppressed people inside the United States. I advocate an end to capitalist exploitation the abolition of racist policies, the eradication of sexism, and the elimination of political repression. If that is a crime, then I am totally guilty.
There's something in the origin of atrocity and genocide in the development of the New World, which continues to this day, that entreats a kind of unremembering.
In 1977, I was convicted in a trial that can only be described as a legal lynching.
Dream of love and light and laughter.
To make a long story short, I was captured in New Jersey in 1973 after being shot with both arms held in the air and then shot again from the back. I was left on the ground to die, and when I did not, I was taken to a local hospital where I was threatened, beaten, and tortured. Is that justice? Let me emphasize that justice for me is not the issue I am addressing here. It is justice for my people that is at stake. When my people receive justice, I am sure that I will receive it too.
It became very clear that it was going to be a culture of, my sovereignty or yours, my people, my base, or yours.
With colonialism came the idea that everything on this earth is made for our extraction, and that everything is to be bought and sold. So with colonialism came the idea that nothing was sacred or priceless. And this mindset is the core of how we got to climate disaster.
After the end of the world. Don't you know that yet? It's after the end of the world. Don't you know that yet? It's after the end of the world. Don't you know that yet? It's after the end of the world. Don't you know that yet? It's after the end of the world.
So you want to play with knives, huh?
It's after the end of the world.
Well, you picked the wrong player.
Don't you know that yet? It's after the end of the world. Don't you know that yet?
You break normativity by refusing its right to ask a rhetorical question.
Sometimes a soldier fall on his own sword.
Where has been a place for people to be cultivated? There's a lot of young people that are very angry. They want to do something, but they don't know what to do. And I keep saying to them, one of the things we've got to organize, you cannot just be in cyberspace. You can't be thinking about this. You've got to have concrete stuff in concrete places.
I cannot afford to believe that freedom from intolerance is the right of only one particular group, and I cannot afford to choose between the fronts upon which I must battle these forces of discrimination wherever they appear to destroy me. And when they appear to destroy me, it will not be long before they appear to destroy you.
I got something for your mind, your body, and your soul.
If black grief saturates us and you can't think outside of it, right. The rage that subtends that grief is also something that proliferates exponentially.
I mean, one of the things that happens in this model of entrepreneurial subjectivity is that survival looks like the best possible horizon of living,
right. Which is not very appealing.
Right, and survival is success. It's just
Black politics is all about anger management, and as opposed to listening to the discourse of black demands, listening to the discourse of black suffering, listening to the discourse of black anger. The problem is in articulating the demand. And the reason that the problem is in articulating the demand is because the demand is larger than what can be conceptually grasped.
Forgiveness, or the practice of forgiveness, actually obscuring memory, precluding the ability really to excavate what the possibility of mourning would really be.
Black speech is always under coercion. Much of the planet's inhabitants who are oppressed are subjected to death in an economy of disposability. You know, he said, y'all better understand white people's fantasies.
Right.
Because tomorrow there'll be legislation. How much of what is inside my head, how much of what I think about this world can the non-black people around me take in without lynching me? I dream of a time when we could move irresponsibly, not being responsible to that anxiety. The conflict, the collision between the desire for recognition and incorporation and this meaningless black life that will lead to a meaningless black death. Once people have had enough of that, then you got to do anger management on the black community. And that's very different than asking, what do you want? What do you think? What are your politics? The problem of blackness is a problem beyond what can be actually conceptualized.
What'd you do that for? It was just getting good.
I just don't want to hear it anymore, that's all.